Sweet. So, good morning, afternoon, and evening, fellow people of Kubernetes. Welcome to another meeting of the Kubernetes 118 release cycle. I am your humble host, Jorge Alarcón, and this time I actually remember to mention that there is a code of conduct, which essentially boils down to be nice, be kind to each other. And before we get started, this time I also wrote a note about asking for some volunteer to take notes during this call. And with that, let's actually get started. This time, first person up is going to be Lucky. Please take it away.
Thanks, George. Hello, everybody, and welcome to All the Shadows. We have a full roster. My name is Lachlan Evenson. I'm an emeritus lead on the 118 release team. And sorry for the change of order. I have a doctor's appointment, so I asked George to bump me up earlier in the order today. So appreciate that, George. So a couple of updates from me. First one is the shadow selection is complete, and I'd like to say a massive thank you to all the leads for getting that done in a timely manner. There is a link to the updated roster, which is in a repository where all things 1.18 are. So you can take a look there. Thank you and welcome to all the shadows that are joining this call for the first time. We're excited to have you on the release team. Just a quick reminder to the leads that they should be providing their shadows access to the release team mailing list and the release calendar, SIG release calendar, which has all the meetings for this 118 release. So just make sure you get that in a timely manner, and make sure if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, but you should have access to both those things as a priority, and then we'll follow on for there. I will be sending out a notification to all applicants in the next 36 hours, just thanking them for applying and that we've chosen the release team, and to encourage them to apply again in future releases. So just appreciate just keeping widespread notifications until I've sent out that email. That would be great. And finally, I will be reaching out to all the leads in the next week to plan and schedule shadow orientation. And this will be led by each lead with each of their team shadows. And that'll be just an onboarding 30 minutes to an hour conversation with all the shadows, welcoming them to the team and getting them access to all the resources and answering any questions. That's it from me. Are there any questions?
I don't hear any questions, but just to echo out what's going on the chat. So if you are selecting your shadows and your shadows don't yet have access to the Kubernetes release team mailing list or any of the cool stuff that they need to keep in touch, please ask me, or if you already have the link, go to the internal contact sheet. Please put down their name, email, and there is a column for whether they still need to get access to the mailing list. If not, then me, one of my shadows, or someone will eventually get to it and send them an invite. Also, please check your email. For a lot of people, you should already. Hopefully they already got invites. So if you have shadows, you already selected your shadows and you put them in the contact sheet, and please just send them a gentle reminder. Other than that, anyone has any questions, comments?
Just one other thing, George, while you're on that topic. Kubernetes organization, GitHub organization membership. Feel free to reach out to your leads if you're not an org member and raise the appropriate issue, and you can either let any of your leads or the release team lead know about that issue, and we will funnel it up and add you to the Kubernetes organization and GitHub as well. So thanks, George.
Thank you for that as well. You can either, I don't think Lucky is gonna mind, but you can also add me as a sponsor, or Steven. One of us, if you add one of us as a sponsor, eventually you'll get in the Kubernetes organization. With that, anyone has any last comments, questions? Okay, I don't hear anything, so let's go down the list. Blackie doesn't have any shadows, so let's go to enhancements. I saw that some shadows are in the call. So Jeremy, if you want to introduce them first.
Yeah. I'll actually let everybody introduce themselves and say a little bit. Let's start with Heba. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. My name is Heba Layuti. I work for Microsoft for CSE organization. I started to have Kubernetes journey I think 18 months ago, and since then I was trying to get involved in the community, and finally I'm so happy to be here. I've been selected to be enhancements shadow and enhancement team shadow, and so excited. Yeah.
Okay, next, how about Kirsten?
Hi, I'm Kirsten. No video right now because it's early, but yeah, I'm really excited to be a shadow. I'm a software engineer at Red Hat. I work on OpenShift. In 1.17, I was a shadow for bug triage. So hi, Silvia, if you're here. And yeah, I'm really excited just to learn a little bit more about this part of Kubernetes, of the Kubernetes release process. And I'm really excited to meet you all. So hi.
All right, next up we have Nabarun.
Hi everyone, I'm from Bangalore, and this is my second time in the release team. In the last cycle, I was also an enhancement shadow, and this time I'm continuing the role. Apart from that, I'm leading the registrations at the Contributor Summit for KubeCon Amsterdam. And yeah, that's it. I have been contributing to Kubernetes the last 6-7 months. And yeah, pretty excited for this release cycle. Thanks, everyone.
All right, and last but not least, John.
Hello, everybody. John Belmerick here. Been involved in Kubernetes for a couple years, and this is my first time on the release team. So happy to be doing that and learn more about how releases are done and get involved. So thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Super excited to have everybody on the team. So let's jump into the enhancements update for today. We have been pinging all of the open issues. There are 119 that haven't responded yet. 15 have responded with the affirmative that they want to be in the 118 release. One of them doesn't have a KEP that's merged, so I marked it as at risk in the sheet. I figured that we could keep track of these things as we go on, just to have an idea of how many things have said they're going to be in the milestone, but don't have all the criteria to meet the enhancements freeze yet. So far of the 15, one of them does not. Of the 15, we have 7 that are going to graduate to beta, 5 that will be new alpha things, and 3 that will be graduating to stable. Any questions? Cool. So hopefully we have a bigger update next week as more people respond to our pinging of them, and we'll update this as we go. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jerry. Moving on to CI Signal. Nikolaos.
Hello, everybody. I want to start by welcoming all of the shadows, and I want to give a chance to all the CI Signal shadows to introduce themselves. So who can go first? John?
Yeah, I can go first. So my name is John Reese. Been a software developer probably for about 9 years or so. A lot of that space in .NET and C#. But me as a company working at Plex Systems, not the media server. We actually do manufacturing software. Just took the name somehow got away with that. But now we've been transitioning to Go and Kubernetes, and I love open source and contributing. So I kind of not only wanted to give back, but also just learn how a system such as Kubernetes, so big, so many people kind of get releases out there. So I'm really excited to be a part of the process.
Thank you very much, John. Daniel, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Daniel. I'm from St. Louis. I work for Upbound. I work on the open source crossplane project, which is kind of an extension on Kubernetes. And I was on the CI Signal team as a shadow for 1.17 and really happy to be back on the release team.
Excellent. So no more shadows today. they were able to join because of the time zone and stuff. So I think that we can just continue with the reporting. Okay, so this week I can describe our situation as yellow. Master blocking dashboard is green. We have some flaky jobs, but it's okay. But master reforming, there are many jobs that are failing. So let's start. GC cost master reboot. We don't have any response from cloud provider. I tried to ping them again today. Hopefully in the next days we have some activity there. So then we have other two jobs, the build packages RPMs and the post-submit of the Kubernetes release repo that are failing for the same thing. And it seems that Steven is working on the fix. So hopefully we're going to merge this as soon as possible. Then GC Windows Master, this is the all-time job that is failing. The last two releases for the same issue. Likely we have two PRs on flight. Hopefully we want to draw enough attention to and merge it finally and see if the specific test case is finally fixed. Then we have three other jobs that we find out that those jobs responsibility is to be fixed by the SIG Windows team. The SIG Windows Container, the master, and the Azure 1.16 and 1.17 Windows jobs are failing. I tried to ping Windows team today and yesterday. Maybe they didn't have the chance to check it yet, but I will try ping them in the next days as well. Other two jobs that they failed today, GC master scale correctness and GC master scale performance. Those two jobs are potential flakes because those jobs are running once per day, and we have same reasons of failure the previous days as well. One of these have already drawn some attention, and we changed the priority to production because it doesn't seem that we can fix it right away. It's like testing for infrastructure issue. So we consider that as a flake. Either way, we are going to monitor them in the next days, and maybe we can just change the label from failing test to flake job and try to investigate more. Release MISC, everything greens, some flaky jobs, no big deal. In 1.17 blocking, one job is failing, which is the same with the other job in master informing. We expect that to be solved the next day, see if we got final response from SIG cloud provider as well. In 1.17 informing, we have two other jobs that are failing for the same reason like the other jobs in master informing as well. Okay, so this release, we decided to focus more on flaky jobs. So one of our shadows is focusing on opening issues and trying to find more details about any flaky job. And we did a good job here and opened some issues, and we drew some attentions. And the first one, the GC ingress job, it seems that the last 17 runs, it's green, nothing merged, but we're going to continue monitoring it. The next job, GC goes Kubernetes beta serial. It's still flaky. We have an open issue for that. And goes Kubernetes beta default. There is an open fix for it. So hopefully in the next days when we merge it, we're going to see some progress and finally remove the flakiness of the job. The GC goes master reboot. Okay, that's a new one. Actually, I don't know, George, if you remember in 1.16, we have an issue about it, about this the same flakiness of the same tests are starting flaking again. So we have a new issue about it. And finally, the regression master, it seems that it's flaky as well. We opened this issue yesterday, so I think that we'll try to find out more details and fix it as well. However, we have some additional notes here. I didn't put those, but I tried to check that it seems that there is a problem with Bosco's tool, and some jobs that have been disabled on Friday, January 10th. So I don't have any more details about this issue, but we're going to keep an eye on it, and hopefully everything will be okay. Any questions?
Just comments for additional color. So for the Windows test, I've been tagged in a bunch of the reviews for those. They should be fixed soonish. The dev and RPM tests you probably already mentioned, but so basically we're working on a new tool to build devs and RPMs, which means that the tests that are using the old tools are starting to fail because the directories that they use are being removed. I have that fixed in a PR that should merge today, hopefully. So for a bunch of the tests that are labeled beta, Kate's beta or something, just be on the lookout for potential issues with those. I have a PR open that is moving, basically shifts some of the generic version suffixes. So that's beta, stable 1, 2, and 3. It's kind of a chunky PR, so I'm going to try to see if I can maybe break it out into multiple ones. But essentially, it's the thing to note is that generic version suffixes are bad, and it leads into a bunch of problems where we don't understand the SKU that the tests are using. So upgrade and downgrade that say like, there are a few that say like 112 and 113 that are actually using like stable 1 and beta 1 and beta or something like that. So I'm trying to knock out some of those problems. And I think that one of the things I'd like to see CI Signal work on is tweaking some of those tests. There are some easy ones to fix that I'm going to take the first pass at once I merge some other updates. But the harder ones will be the jobs that are generated as a result of the generate tests.py script that's in test infra. So that's test infra / releng generate jobs generate _ tests py. That one uses a test config that takes a bunch of different affixes. So like GCE or GKE, cause versus Ubuntu, plus a generic suffix, plus what it does, serial, default, reboot. All of those are, most of those are generated tests. And because of that, they need to use the generic suffix. So trying to figure out how to untangle that is something that is harder to do, but it's something that we should try to complete for 118. One more thing about CI Signal. I had mentioned this in the SIG release meeting that we just had. Jorge and I have been talking about a CI Signal subproject, right? So expanding the scope of CI Signal to not just the current release, but all of the blocking and informing, working on flakes and tooling around CI Signal processes a bit more extensively. SIG testing is totally fine with us taking this. As maintaining support of CI Signal is not explicitly in their charter. So stay tuned for a proposal from me that will be, of course, reviewed by Jorge, right? And hopefully, I doubt it's going to be this week, but early next week at the latest for that proposal. So if there are people interested in So for this cycle, at least, nothing will change in the CI Signal team. But the idea next cycle will be essentially there will be like a CI Signal liaison, which will handle the master blocking, informing, everything around master blocking, informing, and the current release branch blocking and informing, and making sure that that signal is good. And the entire team will be responsible for all of the open release branches. So stay tuned for more details on that. If anyone is interested, please let me know, and you'll be included.
Oh, that's a good news, man. One more thing I want to ask you. What's the plan about the 1.14 jobs?
Ah, right. I knew I was forgetting something. Okay, so 114 jobs. 114 jobs need to die in a fire. Essentially, what we do is we rotate jobs every time. We rotate jobs every time we cut a branch, which means there's about a month and a half, 2 months of the cycle that we have branches. We have jobs running for a branch that is a non-supported Kubernetes version. What I'd like to do is front load the task of removing the last supported release ahead of, and Jorge, this answers your question that you left on the PR. The idea is that we want to disambiguate the removal of the last supported jobs from the cut of the release branch. Those two things don't need to happen together. And we're basically burning money, spinning up tests for branches that we don't support anymore. So that's the reason.
All right, super, thanks.
So I believe everyone is tagged on that PR. Give me or rather the CI signal team as well as release engineering people who are part of those GitHub teams are tagged on that PR already. I am linking it in the meeting notes. Okay. Actually done now. Cool. And I think that's it from me.
Thank you very much for all of that information. Let me see just a couple more comments. So to add a little bit more context on the additional note, I actually added that one. So last week, Savitha, one of the shadows for the docs team, and I were doing some triaging around, and we actually discovered that there are a ton of GKE jobs that have been failing due to resource constraints. Boscos is one of the components of one of the tools that is available by Test Infra, and Boscos is in charge of actually passing around GCP projects around to the end-to-end jobs, so that they can actually create Kubernetes clusters and the like. And that component is not it's scrapping out with all the projects that are meant to create GKE clusters. And last I checked, it was still being investigated by Catherine and all the wonderful people in SIG testing. And the more important note is, I believe every single job that uses GKE for an end-to-end test is actually on pause right now. So you might, so if for some reason someone finds a job that has anything to do with GKE, you might not be seeing any results. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is the GCE Coast Master Reboot end-to-end jobs. Actually, all of them. We might need to do a little bit more debugging on that node, and debugging specifically just to see if there is anything that is obviously wrong with the job, and that we or with any of the tests that we can fix, because I believe that is one of those jobs that is not that was deprecated by cluster lifecycle, and essentially it's just one of those where contributors might come in, fix it, and that's what's been keeping it alive in the last handful of cycles. But we don't actually have a group of owners, and that's why it's in the cloud GCP. So if we can fix it, it might be useful. If we cannot fix it, we might actually look into removing it, as we did with all the upgrade and downgrade tests.
So on that note, so yes, Catherine has disabled all of the GKE tests. Any tests that you see that are listed as GKE or GCE, consider them suspect. Because like Corey said, there are pretty much no owners. We are assumed to be the de facto owner of these jobs, which is not correctish. So we should be looking for opportunities to delete these jobs where possible, if they're not providing value. I would love for CI Signal to be watching these boards, the job config errors board, as well as the generated board. The generated board, you won't be able to see all of the things on the board because there are that many. So job config errors, there's a little sleuthing that would be involved in that. Essentially, job config errors are a variety of things that I decided were config errors. One of them being if it only lands on a SIG release dashboard, like I consider it a config error because there should be an owner for the job. So it landed in job config errors. If it is using a generic suffix like the dash stable and the generic suffix does not match the release that it's targeting, then that's a job config error to me. But see if you can look at the configs within the SIG release job config errors board and figure out what's up with them. Some of the work that I'm doing on that PR should fix some of them. Some of the work that Catherine is doing on the GKE side should fix others. The work that we're doing together on the tweaking the generate tests script should fix even more of them. But it will take some more eyes to determine, like, are these things being attended to? Have they been failing a lot across multiple cycles? Are they being useful to people? If not, we should get rid of them. So totally in agreement there.
Thank you. Any last comments, questions, concerns?
Yeah, Steven, just let us know how we can actually help with these two dashboards so we can just make your work easier. And I want to ask you about the generated dashboard. It seems that there are so many jobs there, and I don't know, is there any plan that we can just clear them out, or we can just separate them in different dashboards?
So the idea of the generated dashboard was to get them off of the dashboards that they shouldn't have been on because they're generated. There are a lot of them because basically it's a way of us looking at one dashboard and being able to say, okay, well, at least we know these are all generated. The reason they are ending up on that dashboard is because the generated tests, the generated test script will go in and say, before it was doing, all right, well, this should land on master blocking, or this should, if it's not on blocking or not on informing or something, it should land over here, right? I tweaked that to just put everything on generated because they were jobs that were commonly not being attended to, right? So I consider that kind of a job config error, but not a job config error that is a manual job configuration. It's a generated job configuration. So I know that that board should eventually maybe go away as long as the jobs that are configured on that board actually begin to have owners. Right. If we determine that they never have owners, then the entire board goes away. All of those jobs go away. Right. So it's just kind of a de facto parking lot for generated jobs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
I don't expect y'all to go in and try to fix the jobs that are on that. I'm assuming that most of them will continue to fail for time immemorial. So. And as you can see, if you click on that, board, most of those jobs are failing. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most of them, the generated jobs are failing, but the job config errors, it's like the dashboard seems okay, and I think that we can just start monitoring those jobs as well, right?
Yeah, I'll try to provide more details on what you can do to fix some of those config errors. Some of them I kind of already have in my head how to fix. So allow me to write something up or put up a PR. The PR that I linked does some of it, but not all of it. So.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much, Sven.
All right. Thank you. Last comments, questions. I hear silence. So let's move on. Actually, before we move on, welcome to all the CI Signal shadows. That's a important thing from right now. So, Bug Triage, please take it over.
Hello, everyone. This is Silvia. I would like also to welcome our shadows for bug triage and maybe invite each one of them to do a quick introduction. So we'll go by alphabetical order and we'll maybe start with Anna.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Would you like to say
My name
a
is
few words?
Anna. I'm a software engineer at SAP, and I was actually part of the 1.17 release as well as an enhancement shadow. But I'm glad to be back. I like trying something different. So, yeah.
Great to have you. And next up, Gianluca.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I was shadow for 116 in the bug triage. So I'm back to the same role and I'm happy to help.
Next up, John. And happy to have you too.
Hello, everyone. I'm John. I work at GitLab as an infrastructure engineer, actually on the release team for the GitLab product. This will be my first time doing a shadow for Kubernetes, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Welcome. And last but not least, Marky.
Hello, everybody. My name is Marky. I am a software engineer at Sysdig, and I work on Falco. I did bug triage for 117, and I also do a lot for the contributor summit for KubeCons. So everybody knows me, I hope. And if you don't, welcome to everybody.
Yeah, once again, welcome everybody. Happy to have you in the team. And moving on to the current status for bug triage. So we are green, and this is because we're not really paying a lot of attention to the numbers of issues and PRs in this stage of the release. And we have 51 open issues that are non-tests or flakes and 56 open PRs with 77 in total issues open for 118. So in this 118 milestone. And like I said, I mean, it's so early in the release, we shouldn't pay so much attention to these numbers. We have them here more as a kind of baseline. Yeah, so we're green.
Thank you very much, Silvia.
Thank you.
Any comments, questions for bug triage? Sweet. Let's go on to docs.
Hello, everyone. So we have completed the docs selection last week. And we have our docs to, like, I can introduce my docs here, shadows here. So first, Seth, yes, introduce yours.
Hey everyone, my name is Seth. Second time on the docs team. I've been part of the 116 release team. I'm an infrastructure engineer at Sysdig. I work with Marky, and I'm happy to be back.
Next, we have Savitha. Savitha, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, hello everyone. My name is Savitha. I work as a platform engineer at MathWorks, and I've been contributing to Kubernetes for the past 8 months, and this is my first time on the release team, and I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
And we have a new person called Kima. So he just joined the Kubernetes community just 3 days back. So he's very new to the community. So Kima, please introduce yourself.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be part of this community. I just joined as you said. I hope to be working with the great people in the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we have a fourth person this time, like Irvi. Like, she's not here. Yes, this time we have 4 shadows for the docs. So I just increased one number. So usually we have 3, and then this time we went with 4. Yes, and coming to the status of the docs, we are right now green, as we don't have much to do any docs tracking at this point of time. But next week I'm planning to do a shadows onboarding. So yes, we are green from docs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone has any comments, questions, concerns?
So just a note on the doc side that Jim, I'm not sure if Jim Angel is on the call, but he's going to be working on improving the Krell fast forward tool, which handles branch fast forwards and stuff to hopefully use that for the Seth, awesome. To hopefully use that for the docs side as well. So docs has a branching workflow that we would like to make easier. So please work with Jim as he asks for things, if he asks for things around docs branch management.
That warms my cold, cold heart.
Yes. So, Stephen, is this regarding the branch sync-ups between the release 1.18 and then the dev? So we have branch sync-ups, right?
Yeah, all the branching stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. And let's move on to release notes.
Hey everybody, release notes, Eddie Vialba, and we got our shadows in. So thankfully all four of them are on the call, I believe. So if you guys can introduce yourselves when I call you. Justin?
Sure. So my name is Justin Luck. I'm one of the product managers on Azure Kubernetes service, and I'm super excited to contribute on the release team for the first time. So yeah, looking forward to learning from everyone.
Awesome, thanks Justin. Adolfo?
Hi everyone, my name is Adolfo. I work for a small company in Mexico City called Consulting, and I've been working with Kubernetes for about 2 years. Last year I started working and helping out with the infrastructure work group, and I'm happy to be helping with the release notes this time.
Great, thanks Adolfo. James?
Hiya, my name is James Lavrak. I'm a solutions engineer at JetStack, which is a Kubernetes consultancy based in the UK. I'm pretty new to the community. I attended KubeCon San Diego and I asked how to get involved, and it was suggested I apply to be a shadow on the release team, and thus here I am. So I'm looking forward to working with you all.
Awesome, thanks James. And Ray?
Hello, good morning or afternoon. My name is Ray. I work for RXM. We are a Kubernetes consultancy and training. I'm super excited to be part of the release team and to learn about the release cycle.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for trying to come on board to the Shadow team, and looking forward to working with you guys on this release. Just to update on our side, we are green. The release notes draft has been submitted, and the requisite PR is there, PR 937, and also release notes kates.io has been updated with the 1.18.0 alpha 1. So if you go to relnotes.kates.io, you do have to make sure and hit the little gear icon and check the box to say show pre-release, and then you'll see the changes, the specific PRs or commits for the 1.18.0 alpha 1. And also, as according to the documentation, I opened up a initial issue in KK in Kubernetes for 1.18 known issues as we move forward with this release, and I posted the link there to the exact issue on the KK side. So we're all caught up to date. We're just waiting for the alpha.2 release to begin to merge up our next updates. Any questions?
Oh wait, hey.
I was waiting. I'm like, come on, Stephen. I know you got something, brother.
I got something for everyone. All right, so I'm gonna write up an email. I think I could do it today, probably today. We're talking about changing the format of the release notes, right?
Okay.
So it's from instead of highlighting SIGs, we would highlight kinds.
Yes.
Right. So it's and I think that this is the right move. I just want to make sure the PRs looks to already be ready and have been ready for a while. I think all I want to make sure we do is gather consensus from the community, since these are things that everyone consumes. So the idea here would be I also want to introduce maybe the idea of like what kind is more important, right? So a deprecation is super important, and you should know about that first. You should read that first in the notes, and then API changes, and then maybe features, and then maybe bugs or something like that, right? So this, I'll dig up the PR. Essentially what it does is it switches from highlighting the SIGs to highlighting the kinds of issues that are the kinds of PRs that were issued during that release cycle. I do think that that's a better format. So if you have questions, comments, concerns about that, expect an email from me today, hopefully, and add notes to that, as well as the PR, which is coming your way in 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'll put it in the chat first. There we go.
And are we going to update? Who's going to update the release note? Oh, the release notes tool obviously is going to have to be updated for that. That's part of the PR.
So I believe so. I haven't looked at the content of the PR in a bit, but yes, the tool. Yes, yeah. So package notes document.go, and package notes notes.go are being updated.
Okay.
Yeah. So just stay tuned for that. Sasha has been kind of all over this stuff in the refactor of in the creation, I guess, of Krell release notes, or whatever we're calling the thing now. But yeah, so sync up with Sasha and just make sure you have details on what direction he's going in currently.
Sure, sounds good.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Eddie and Stephen. Let's move on to comms.
Hey everyone, Karen here, comms lead. I've selected my shadows and I will have 4 comm shadows. So they're going to go ahead and introduce themselves. Max, would you like to go first?
Yes, sure. Hi, it's Max. I'm comms shadow, was comms shadow in the 1.17 release, and happy to proceed with the 1.18 release team.
Perfect. Paul, are you there?
Yep. Hello, everyone. I'm Paul. I work at NetApp, and I was a 1.17 Docs shadow. Happy to be contributing on comms.
Hey, welcome back. Claudia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Claudia. I am a software engineer based in Seattle. I work at Microsoft on the commercial software engineering team. I work with Docker and Kubernetes on the daily, so I'm really excited to contribute to this upcoming release and learn more about the release cycle.
Perfect. And then Meenakshi.
Thanks, Karen. Hello, everyone. My name is Meenakshi Kaushik, and I work at Cisco, and I'm part of Cisco's container platform team, and I'm super excited to be part of Kubernetes team.
Perfect. So comms does not have any updates until enhancement free, so we are just green for now, and that is it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Karen. Moving on to release branch management.
Wait, I have things.
Just make that assumption.
So just a note for comms, I want to make sure that, so one, I think we've discussed this for people who are already on 1.17 and attended the retro and all that good stuff. Releasing on Mondays is bad. We're not going to do releases on Mondays, so Tuesday and forward. But in that also requires communication to CNCF and press and yada, yada, yada. So I would request this cycle, can we make sure that anything that goes out to an external person, whether it be CNCF, press, whatever, include the SIG chairs, and the release team leads on that communication. Or just the release team leads. I want to make sure that there are, we had a miscommunication about a date, which caused a few internal things to go crazy as well as external things to go crazy. So I want to just make sure that we have multiple eyes on these emails going out externally. Cool.
Thank you very much. Any comments, questions? Awesome. release branch management. Carlos, please take it away.
Yeah, I would say like, Stephen, do you want to start? Then and finish?
Yeah. So my note here is I noticed that I've been added to the notes as the branch manager. I'm not the branch manager for the cycle. I'm a patch release team member. Carlos is the primary branch manager for the cycle. Sasha is the secondary for the cycle. So they should be about roughly splitting up all of the releases across the cycle, as well as introducing the release manager associates to the process. So last cycle we had Marco and Sasha basically take the wheel for an alpha, right, to see if they can walk through the alpha cut. So we're going to continue doing that this cycle, but like I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all need on like release engineering overall, but Carlos is the primary. So please forward any branch management related things to him.
Yeah. And also we already cut the 118 alpha 1 that Stephen did, I guess, end of last year, right? And we have scheduled the 118 alpha 2 already. That is a GitHub issue for that as well.
Yeah, so basically what we were not doing before or haven't done in previous cycles was cut an alpha 1 after the previous, so basically cut the alpha 1 dot y plus 1, right? So that means that between the time that we initially cut the alpha for 118, say, there were multiple commits, I think 1,800 plus commits to master since then, right? To get people to a point who are consuming Kubernetes, to get them to a point that's more closely in line with what 118 would look like. We're planning to, I have an action item to add that to the branch management handbook. So basically you handle all of your cycle, plus you handle, so if you're on 118, you're handling all of the releases for 118, and then you're also cutting the 119 alpha 1, right? So that way we're in line before we start the next cycle. So you'll see that PR just shifts the release numbers in the release schedule down a number, right?
Right. And last comment that there's an remove 114 jobs is Stephen already mentioned earlier in the call as well. Questions?
One quick question. In the future, just to communicate with the release team, where will be the one place for a lead from the release team to find out who the primary and secondary people from release from branch management are?
So there is a release managers.md, and what I can do is edit it so it says who's primary and secondary. The primary and secondary thing is kind of like all the stuff we do is kind of new, but it's essentially just to make sure that there is a single or a few points of contact. Right now, there are only 2 branch managers. We hope to build that up in the following cycles, but yeah, as there are going to be more, we want to know that there's a body of people who can handle the work if y'all need them to handle certain things, but also that you have a dedicated resource to the release team, right? So we want to make sure that the primary and secondary are attending release meetings and providing status updates and all that good stuff. Here is the link in the chat. Let me actually put it in. Yeah, okay, Carlos has it. Let me actually put it in the meeting notes too. Yep. Oh, already done. Cool. Awesome.
Thank you very much. Just to double check, anyone has any comments, questions regarding branches and releases? Sweet. So let's move on to the next update, which just so happens to be me. And before I continue, I saw a couple of my shadows hanging out here in the call. Bob, Damini, are you still around?
I'm around.
Oh, please introduce
yourself. Hi, I'm Bob Gillen, Mr. Bobby Tables, pretty much across everything. I am a release shadow. I've previously been on the enhancements team since I think the 115 release. Happy to be a part of 118 and kick things off.
Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction and for agreeing to be a shadow. You're making the whole process so much easier. And Damini, I was pretty sure I saw, but it's not around anymore. So let's just leave that one for later. I think she's in India, and there are a handful of hours. So it's like, I'm pretty sure it's closer to midnight or something. So moving on to release lead updates. So a couple things that I just mentioned in the that I just mentioned in the notes is this time around we have been changing the onboarding process for Shadow. So as we previously mentioned, there's a contact sheet. All leads, please add your shadows in there. Please make sure to have an email for them, and we will make sure to get everyone in the Kubernetes release team mailing list, which is the one source of truth for all meetings and the stuff. Other than that, reached out to people from Six Scalability, hoping to agree on just to agree to keep the communication moving forward. From the last cycle, the format was somebody from Six Scalability was going to make sure to drop an update before this meeting started in our meeting notes. Usually, because of time differences, it's not that easy to get someone to actually come from Six Scalability and speak for the update. But if they can write it down, we can read it. And the other thing that I actually added, but and proceeded to delete because I didn't last I checked, not everyone has shadows. But I'm planning to send a doodle sometime this week. Please pass it on. Please pass it on to everyone who's a member of the release team. We want to. The doodle is gonna. I want a doodle just to see if people want to move this meeting to some other time, some other day, and also possibly another doodle or some survey, format pending. So one, we want to see if people want to move this meeting to some other time, to some other day. The second thing is we also want to check if people want a second meeting that's more Europe or Asia friendly. And those are my action items. At least a couple things. A couple things I was planning to do for this week, and might affect everyone else in the release team. Other than that, upcoming milestones. So last week we began enhancements tracking, and this week the plan was for this week to finalize the release team. It seems like that's a thing. And other than that, Alpha 2 next Tuesday. With that, anyone has any comments, questions, concerns?
Well, of course.
One more thing.
One more thing.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. So we are also planning on doing a doodle for the SIG release and release engineering meetings. I would want to make sure that we coordinate on that. I would, of course, I would defer to your time preferences since this team is more important. But just be aware that we're doing a doodle as well for release and release engineering. That'll be the same time slot on alternating weeks.
Sounds good. How did you want to coordinate on that?
I said it and I don't really know. I'm gonna do a doodle. You'll do a doodle. We'll choose an end date, and I figure that if I put it out today, then maybe we can close it next Wednesday, and that should be sufficient time for people to vote. And then we can start up with the new time for release and release engineering on the week of the 27th. So.
Sounds perfect.
Cool.
Let me just write that down. New time, possibly week of the 27th.
And bug me because I'll forget that I told you this.
I promise I will. Okay, awesome. So thank you very much, everyone. And that's everything we have for the agenda at this time. Does anyone have anything for open discussion? Anything that you all want to bring up? Stephen?
Yeah, of course. So I just want to say awesome job so far. I think that this is the quickest I've ever seen shadows get locked in. And the coordination so far on the 118 team has been incredible between the release team leads and the emeritus advisor. Lockie, thank you for cracking your advisor whip. Seriously, I think it's the fastest it's ever been done. And that means that the shadows have more time to settle into the release cycle. So thank you all for making that experience positive for everyone.
Second that, thank you very much for all the work that you did, Lucky. Hopefully you can hear this in the recording, and thank you very much for all the leads for doing this so efficiently. And actually, one last note, I was thinking that next week I was actually trying to wait for all the shadows to be selected and all that. But what would you all think about next week starting to go through the release team project board on a weekly basis? Okay, I see some clapping, so I'm gonna take that as a +1.
So by then I will also have broken out the retro items. Right now it's a big dump of notes from 117. I'll get those into actually actionable thingamajigs for ahead of your board run.
Sounds perfect. So there's going to be a ton of work starting next week. Hopefully everyone is going to enjoy it. With that, any last issues, comments that anyone wants to bring up? Going once, twice, sold. So again, thank you very much for everyone. Thank you very much for attending this meeting. Thank you so much for volunteering to work on the release team. You are all awesome and amazing people, and hope you all have a nice rest of your Monday. See y'all.